Okay, I call the meeting of the Abandoned Historic Preservation Commission to order. Could we have roll call, Marcus?
Yes, let me get this open. David Hayes is excused. Alice Novak,
Here?
Gina Paluso,
Here.
Renee Pollock,
Here.
Trent Shepard,
Here.
and Kim Smith.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the previous meeting on April 7th. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes?
I've
Trent,
got
a regular on the minutes.
one letter I would like to add, not a written letter, but I would just change one word and add one letter to it on I got to find this. Page 3 of the minutes. This is nitpicking, but where is that? Oh, that page. Page 3, where Marcus is talking about status of work on the certificates of appropriateness, on the one talking about 8 Buena Vista Court, Mr. Ricci state, and I would like to have him states.
Wow, you are good. Okay.
It would
Or
you
stated,
take,
stated
Yes.
like the other one, stated, yeah, in the past. So stick a D in there, and otherwise I have no problems with the minutes.
Does
Thank you
anyone
very
else have any additions or corrections to the minutes from April
Jeez.
7th? If not, could we have a motion to approve as corrected, please?
Move.
So
So
moved.
I'll second it.
Who
And
got
who-
it, Kim?
I think I did.
Congratulations.
But Renee can have it if she wants it.
Renee, would you like to have a
It's-
second?
I'm
Okay.
happy to share. Spread it
Okay, we'll
around.
All right,
give it to Renee.
all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed, anyone? All right, the minutes as corrected stand approved. All right, do we have any written communications from the week or month?
We did receive one communication this morning. I emailed that out to folks this afternoon. It was from Brian Adams. And I have a little summary here that I'll share for those of you who didn't receive it.
Okay,
Mm,
so that's in the city, that's within the city limits, is it, Marcus?
That's a question.
It is in the city.
Yeah, I don't think it's in Urbana Township based on my assessing memory. I think it's in Cunningham Township.
And so it's in the city limits. It is county property. It would fall under the jurisdiction of the HPC. What I did find interesting is that it's not on the city's demolition delay list. And when I looked through our list of surveyed properties, I did not find it on there. And I would welcome any information or corrections to that. And of course, the only difference between being on the demo delay list or not is it requires a 45-day delay rather than a 10-day delay between application for and issuance of a demolition permit.
So the deal would have been, Marcus, that I never took my class over that far.
Okay.
We stayed in town more and certainly within the West Urbana neighborhood. And
Okay,
it wasn't, it by no means should be interpreted to have been a lack of interest or a lack of concern about the property.
understood. I am just supremely glad that our record keeping is accurate.
Good.
So that's a good thing.
But, I mean, it's a Royer building, so I mean, it's pretty serious that they would tear it down.
Right.
Did
And
Brian have any indication as to why they felt they needed to tear the building down instead of?
Is it just a rumor, or how does he know that?
Well, I did not
I heard the rumor
press
too.
him. Did somebody else have some information?
I heard the rumor too, and I can't tell you who it was from.
You're not able to because you don't remember, or you're not able to
I don't
because you can't. Okay, that's fine. I will press Brian, and I might also do some Google searching. I'm not sure if the commission has an action or a response they wanted to take, or if you just want to be kept apprised of things.
I think some sort of action. I think we need to like officially inquire or something. Not sure what the appropriate thing would be, but
Well, the owner is Brookins, at least of the property. I'm assuming that the county still owns the building. But I'm not sure. The property shows as being owned by the county. I would be glad to email the county board or the county executive on behalf of the HPC, inquiring about, we've heard that there are plans to demolish the county nursing home. Is this correct? Do you have a timeline? Are there reasons? And be glad to report back to you.
But no permit has been taken out, is that correct?
I emailed Building Safety Division today after I got this email from Brian, and I haven't heard back yet.
Okay,
If it was an individual house, I could very easily go on to CitizenServe and look up that parcel, and there would be one principal structure on the parcel. And if there was a demolition permit issued, it would be pretty reasonable to assume that it was for the main house. But this property has like 5 or 6 principal buildings on it because it's a 45-acre county property. Without doing a lot of digging, I would just be speculating as to a demolition permit issuance. So I like to rely on just getting actual word from a staff member.
but that, even with that being the case, they still have to do a permit, correct?
I don't think there is any agency that would be exempt from obtaining a demolition permit from the city.
I agree. I think they have to have a permit. So anyway, well, when you find out, you'll let us know. But I agree with Alice that it's probably something that would require something actionable.
so
Just
there's
because
no,
of,
we can't use the 45-day delay at all, right?
Not if it's not on the demolition delay list.
And Marcus, is that because it's not in the boundaries of the 45-day demolition area?
I would have to dig into the ordinance. Now that you bring that up, I believe the demolition delay list has a geographic boundary, and this would be well outside that. But the one criterion that I always remember is it has to be on the list of surveyed properties. And this isn't on that list.
But that's different for the east side. The east side was handled differently.
Okay, so I'll definitely
It's
check
a,
out the
it's a
ordinance.
jurisdictional boundary and maybe something else, because the reason of that was things were not getting surveyed in the historic East Urbana neighborhood like they were in the west.
Okay,
And so then there were boundaries that were drawn just to have a blanket inclusion of
Okay.
those areas that had been neglected previously.
okay. So just to try and read the room, I'm getting kind of a feeling or an impression that the commission would either like to see it acted upon as if it were on the demolition delay list, or to see if it is on the demolition delay list, to at least provide that 45-day period? Is that how, am I reading that correctly?
Yes, I would say.
Okay.
I agree.
I agree.
Me too. I just, especially
Me too.
considering, Alice, you said it's a Royer building, right?
Well, that's what Brian says, and he's the
Yeah.
expert, so, yeah.
Okay, okay, yeah, I would think we would, it's within the boundaries of this committee to certainly do something.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if we don't do something, then nobody else is gonna step up and do anything.
Exactly, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
Would that include, or am I premature in saying, in nominating it for landmarking?
I think that should be an option, yes.
Okay. Okay. And knowing that here helps me figure out where to take it from there. Okay.
Brian Adams, maybe Brian's even started something already. He would be the likely person to follow through on something like that.
I think he did a pretty extensive essay for the PACA newsletter a couple years back on that property.
Mhm.
I think.
Okay.
I believe you're correct, Gina. When I was searching online for, Champaign County nursing home, there was a PACA story that came up as like hit number 4. I didn't notice if it was Brian or not, but those two things kind of line up.
Mhm.
Okay. I will make inquiries tomorrow and report back to you with a blind carbon copy email of what I've learned.
Great, thank you so much, Marcus.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Marcus.
Absolutely.
All right, so we have no audience participation, no continued public hearings. I'm gonna zip through this other stuff until we get to, there's nothing listed in monitoring of historic properties. Would anyone want to add anything to that?
I took a spin around town today. I noticed there's a container car sitting just to the west of the Royer house, like in the driveway. So I just wanted to bring that up. I don't know if it's being used for storage or something, but it's literally just to the west of the house in the driveway on the Oregon Street side.
So would
Is
this
it one
be
of those
the,
portable ones?
It's a big, like a Seco, like something you would expect to see on like a truck or a train or something. I mean, it's not as big as an 18-wheeler, but it's pretty good size.
and so would this be the 801 West Oregon? Is that the Royer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
I'm still learning all my houses. That is interesting because Chris Enck hadn't contacted us about doing anything there.
Right. Yeah. So I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention.
Thank you. We enjoy your rides that you take through the neighborhood. They're very informative.
Yeah.
Any-
Oh, while I was out there, by the way, it also looks like maybe the grandmother's cottage next door at 701 South Busey, it almost looks like they got a new roof. Maybe. I'm not sure. It's been a while since I've looked at the grandmother's cottage, but it looks fairly new.
Ainley House, is that the name of that one?
Yes. Well, that's awkward.
Yes, it is.
And again, I'm not 100% sure. Like I said, it's been a while since I've looked at that house, but it looks
I mean, I
pretty.
forget how long Chris has owned the property, but I suppose it could have been done by a previous owner, but I don't think we ever approved. I don't know. It would probably be a minor work at best, though, wouldn't it, Marcus?
It would be a
Did
minor.
that have just plain old asphalt shingles, or did it have some special contour roof to it? I can't remember. Maybe
I can't remember
I
either. That's a good point.
Yeah, I
Does it
can't
have
either.
Funny curvy roof to it. I can't.
It definitely is asphalt now.
Yeah,
Very
But-
simple.
it probably has been for years. I just can't I can't remember.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I wish I hadn't brought it up because now I'm driving myself crazy trying to remember too. It's been a long time.
Well, there should be pictures somewhere
Yeah.
because we did a certificate of appropriateness on a back deck, I think,
That's
a
right.
few years back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that'd be worth checking to see what it looked like then, because we, yeah.
Well, I will definitely check into it and again, and I think I'm able to respond back to the commission with what I found, similar with the reporting for certificates of appropriateness that we take in, just to let you know what's happening in between meetings.
Okay, thank you for that.
And
Oh,
one more while I was out driving, you know me. It looks like the work at 806 West Main on that window has been done. It doesn't look foggy anymore, and I saw like the glass was taped off, like they were painting the outer sash. So I don't know if it was replaced or repaired, but it looks like that work is done.
okay, thank you.
You know, that little house, where is that? The one in East, that kind of a gingerbread place, used to be Baxley's, wasn't it?
Oh,
Easter.
the Gothic
What-
Revival House that's a
Yeah,
landmark.
what street's that on?
Weber.
Weber Street, north of Springfield, or
North of Maine.
Maine.
Yeah, not quite a full block north of Maine. I was just thinking about that house the other day.
I haven't thought about that until we were talking about little houses. I thought, oh, wonder what the story is there. Do you ever go by that one, Gina?
No, well, I go down Maine, but I never think to drive
Yeah,
north on Weber.
yeah.
So next time I'm in the neighborhood.
Okay.
Does anybody know the address on that Weber house?
104 maybe?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, at one point, I think I had reviewed some things with Kevin, and the property owner had arranged for some contractors to do some repair work. And I don't think anything got done that I know of. Sorry, Marcus, we keep piling up things for you.
That's okay. That's okay. I like batting cleanup. Okay.
I actually had a question. The Knowlton Bennett building has scaffolding on the Race Street side. Do we know what's going on there?
Tuck pointing, I think.
Yeah, tuck pointing those piers at the top.
Great.
I remember probably 3 years ago in the Bill Gray days that there was some concern about the facade tile glazing falling off or in danger of falling off.
Terracotta.
Right. And that might have actually been taken care of back then. This might be something unrelated or semi-related to that. But that, I think that would fall under an exempt. So we might not even get notified about it, even if everybody was following the historic preservation ordinance. But it might be good for me just to double check and let folks know, hey, it's great that you're taking care of it. If it ever happens to go beyond this defined list of exempt work, please know that you've got to fill out this certificate of appropriateness application, just to keep all the rules.
Does Alan Strong own that building?
I don't know. Is the just
Used to.
I don't know if he still
doubling-
does.
doubling back, is that building a landmark?
No,
Okay, so then they wouldn't have to do any paperwork for it.
correct.
But it,
Yeah,
But it's,
I was just,
it's National
still
Register
talk about it.
listed, so if they wanted to use tax credit, that would be smart.
yes, yeah, good point.
Who owns that?
Okay. Oh, yes.
Who owns that? Not that it's our business anyway, but is it like somebody that has a business in that building, or?
We think it might still be Alan Strong. Alan Strong's owned it for a long time.
Okay,
Not
all right,
about
okay.
now.
All right, just curious.
It also was for sale for quite a while at one point too.
Okay.
Okay, anything else on monitoring of historic properties? Oh, yes.
I just had a question about if we've heard anything more about the landmark, the Lincoln Hotel.
Yeah, good
Um,
point.
I had contact with a Haris Pervez earlier this week. Lori Pearson had sent him an email a couple, 3 weeks back that I was following up on, letting them know, we're happy to have them working on things, and just to remind them that certain types of rules need to be followed and certain discussions need to be had with the Historic Preservation Commission on exterior work, but also following Department of Interior standards if they're wanting to utilize any federal funding. So we're looking forward to seeing plans and designs when they are ready to share them. I think there was some discussion about deadlines, something about the second quarter of the year. So I spoke with Haris earlier this week, invited him to introduce himself and his team at an upcoming HPC meeting. I let him know that today there was going to be one. He said 2 days is a little too quick to put something together. So I anticipate having him either presenting or introducing themselves at next month's HPC meeting. Thank
So
you for-
is that still the group that was the last owner when we were going through all those meetings and things, or did somebody new buy it?
I am really not sure. I was not in the loop on that. Somebody else from the city tonight might have more information about that. Otherwise, when Lori gets back into the office next week, have set up an appointment to speak with her to get caught up to speed on the hotel. A lot of it happened, above my pay grade, but now that they're actually working on things and they're needing to come to the HPC, I need to know more about what's being planned, because they'll be coming to us, for a certificate of appropriateness for a bunch of different things.
Yeah, and I assume they'll be using the tax credit, right?
Right.
Yeah,
That is my assumption as well.
yeah.
And I know I think there were deadlines involved in a development agreement. So I'm speculating about that. But if that's the case, then rather than just waiting for them to come with certificate of appropriateness applications, I should be pestering them about, well, if this is your deadline here, then that means you need to come, 2 months ahead of time to us to get those exterior renovations approved. And maybe you should plan on 3 months, because if the commission wants more information, then you're going to have to come back to a continued public hearing.
Okay. All right, we'll look forward to more news on that. Next up is the staff report, and we've got Historic Preservation Month activities. I forgot to say happy Historic Preservation Month, everybody. Yay, I hope you're all celebrating and have a wonderful time.
So I will, on Historic Preservation Month, I'm going to do the real quick and easy thing first, which is the proclamation's been drafted and turned into the mayor's office. There were several proclamations in the queue ahead of it for this past Monday's council meeting, and I did not get it in early enough in April to get it ahead of time, but it is in the queue for the next city council meeting. The other Historic Preservation Month activity was the exciting Downtown Urbana Historic District Walking Tour podcast, which I am going to turn over to Lily Wilcock, because she made it happen.
Yay, Lily.
Thanks, Marcus. Marcus also made it happen, and we've got a little bit about that. And we also have Andrea Rudy on the line. So this was a collaboration between Marcus and working with Historic Preservation Month and Imagine Urbana. So we're rewriting our comprehensive plan, and what better way to look at the future of the city is to look at the past and look at how we got to where we are today. So with that tie-in, oh, Alice, did you want to say something?
I don't know what Imagine Urbana is, sorry.
Yes, absolutely. So I can introduce a little bit of that. So in February, the city launched a website to start the process of a broad public input campaign for the comprehensive plan of the city of Urbana. Last time the comprehensive plan was written in Urbana, it was 2005. A lot has changed across the board. And so we're starting the process of rewriting that planning process. And there's a lot of events going on. I've actually got a quick slide I'm going to share with you on that. So let me share my screen. And everybody can see that?
Yep.
So currently, we're just getting started. We've had a lot of help from the urban planning department at the University of Illinois. And we have had a lot of outreach so far. We're really have been working very hard on targeted outreach audiences, making sure that we're listening to everybody in the city that has a harder time getting in contact with the city, has been historically, not represented in our planning processes as well. So we've been making a large effort in that. In this summer, we're going to keep doing broad outreach, but also we're going to keep having targeted discussions at, say, Salt and Light. We've had a lot of tabling there. We've also had a Silver Hearts event where we were able to really get out and talk to people in the community and talk to folks who don't usually participate in planning processes about planning and the future of Urbana and what their needs and concerns are. So that's just going to keep happening. We've got a couple of things that are coming up. For instance, we have a postcard that'll be going out that's very broad. That's about 21,000 residences that will go to. There's also a texting SMS survey. We all get a lot of surveys. Everybody gets a survey. And it's really important. It's so crucially important for a local government agency to really get as much feedback as possible for us to prioritize budgeting and policy decisions for the future. But it can be really difficult for people to find that time and find that energy. So whether you're low on time or whether you don't have a laptop, we're also really trying to innovate with the situation that we have with COVID-19 and also with our public engagement. And we've worked with a company on making a custom SMS interactive survey. So that's kind of cool. It's coming out, and it's coming out in 4 languages. So one of these activities, these upcoming comprehensive plan activities, one of them's today. That is one of those proclamations. It's Bike Month. So Gina, next time you're going and riding around town, you could also ride your bicycle if you'd like, and take a look a little bit slower past some of the historic properties. It's also, as you'd see in my background, it's Building Safety Month. There's a lot going on in May in the city of Urbana. But one of those is Historic Preservation Month. And so there's this downtown historic walking tour. It is app-based. It runs really smoothly on a phone. So if you can go to whatever your appropriate app store is, whether it's Google or it's Apple, and download Pocket Sites, you can have this app and it runs very smoothly via that. You can also just go use your web browser if you'd like, and you can check out the tour. This is one of those things that we just launched a Facebook event that's for the next couple of weeks to kind of keep people thinking about it. And we'll kind of, as city staff can in the next coming weeks with nice weather, we're going to have a couple of, pictures of people doing this tour that will just kind of keep getting the word out about some of the really unique stories that you can find in downtown Urbana, while also encouraging people to kind of give their thoughts and their say in the comprehensive plan, kind of trying to marry these two. And I want to quickly, while I have that, I want to show you the Facebook event. You can go here and you can share that with friends if you want to get the word out. There's also, this is the site, so you can look at this in your in-browser. And when you go to the browser, you can see small blurbs about each building and site that we stopped at. And some of those sites will have videos. Here's one with Marcus and the owner of the Cohen building, talking about how they imagine their building fitting in with the future of Urbana. So it talks a little bit about historic preservation, but really one of the beautiful things about the historic district, downtown district designation is that those incentives are really to help propel the future of the business, of the building, and preserve this for all sorts of awesome downtown Urbana events. So with that overlap, you can, we try to make it accessible as well. So if you're, and there's a lot of reasons why you'd want to for everybody, but you can read about the buildings, but you can also hear someone reading about the buildings built into this. So it's a little bit of accessibility feature that benefits everybody.
Who did the reading?
Marcus and I traded off.
Oh.
So different, I think the first half leans a lot more towards me, and then the second half leans a lot more towards Marcus. And that is the tour. I hope that's a fun thing to help celebrate. Andrea Rudy's on here. We can talk more about Imagine Urbana or answer any questions as well. It's Andrea and I are tasked on working on the comprehensive plan for Urbana.
Wanted to talk about the walking tour a little before we move on to Imagine.
Mhm.
You'd sent that out not too long ago, and I read the written dialogue and listened to all the spoken ones that Marcus and Lily did, and I thought they were well done. I have, unless you've changed the written ones, let's see, how many were there? One.
Or 9.
Well, I think like the Cohen building, that was you, Marcus, wasn't it? Crane Alley building, Urbana Lincoln, were those all you?
Those were Marcus.
Yes.
Yeah. It seemed like that the written, like if you're reading it and listening at the same time, they don't match.
You're right.
Yeah. And it's the
we-
same idea, but it's like you took liberties. And
Yes.
maybe it doesn't matter because nobody's going to read it and listen at the same time. But it was a
No.
little confusing to me until I realized they're not going to match.
Right.
Okay.
Well, we want them to match identically. What happened was, for time constraints, we uploaded the initial draft transcripts that I pulled most of out of the nomination application for the district. And then I realized, okay, wow, that's going to be like a 4-minute read. So I cut it down. And then when we started reading them, it's like, oh gosh, this is still a minute. So we skinnied it down even further, but those revised scripts need to be uploaded into Pocket Sites and SoundCloud so that they match the final audio. But
Okay.
so thank you for catching that, because it's like,
Yeah.
well, hopefully we'll get to it before anybody notices that. But
At least get to it before Preservation Month is over.
yes, yep. And since you asked
ahead.
about the readings, the hope is to do a second video that features all of the properties in the district, and maybe some folks from the commission would be interested in reading some prepared scripts. So it's not just.
So what did
me.
I do at 5-6 years ago?
You did, that was part of the Urbana tours that we did.
And that
And-
was at the same properties, or was that some different property?
We used some different ones. It was a good read too. Did a good
Well,
job.
I thought I was terrible, but
I think you deserve to have to do some readings because you've found so many mistakes.
Anyway, but
Typo correction.
those are out there. And well, when I listened to her, the one for the Princess Theater, and I'm not going to try to go do that and find it right now, but in that one it listed that used to be a cinema and now it's been converted to a gallery and something. And I thought maybe it should say office space too, because that whole back end is supposed to be office space. I don't know if it's rented right now. So that was a suggestion that we could promote it as office space too, if we want to change that. If not, don't worry about it. And then I think it was in the one on the Rose Bowl, if this serves me correct, the word being is maybe, if you read it through, like, oh, it's in there twice. So that's kind of like a typo or something.
In the written transcript, not the audio?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then this note I made, God, what did that say? Oh, boy. When I brought up whatever it was, the link, I'll say, and then it had all the with the blue dots and then the each property, and then there was supposed to be a tour map. And for me, the whole time I had that up, it was loading. That map never loaded, but maybe
Yeah,
it loads. Maybe it loads
I just
for
wanted
other
to say
people.
I've had that problem too, but it works on the
Okay.
app. So I haven't
Okay, all
sweat
right.
too much. Like
I
I
was
haven't
using it
sent in
on-
a help desk ticket, but
Okay, all right, but I was doing it on, I guess, the website, the web version,
Yeah.
not the app. So anyway, those are my comments after going through all that. And I'm done.
What's been done to publicize the app and the website for it?
so there was a press release that was supposed to go out today. I have not seen it, and I'm thinking that's probably what Marcus and I have mentioned. It's a lot of months, and sometimes our communication staff will date things a little, like maybe one day later after tons and tons. And so there's more eyeballs on press releases
Mhm.
if they send it out a day later after so many other things have happened. So anyways, that's on that's going to be going out. And then there's this Facebook event as well.
Okay.
Is this latest podcast on the Urbana website?
Not
City
yet.
of Urbana?
I
Not
think
yet?
there's going to be a sticky post to the front page that's planned. And then eventually it'll make it to the numerous historic preservation pages that are kind
Okay.
of under CD.
Okay. Okay, any other questions?
And now we're going to Imagine, are we, with Andrea? Is that our next topic?
Well, I briefly touched on how Imagine Urbana is the comprehensive plan engagement portal in the website. But that's just to tie it in with the historic preservation.
I noticed
walking
on
board.
that one graphic that you showed us with the flowers at the bottom, all that, and up in the right part, it had something with inputs, and I saw city boards and commissions. So does that imply that the Historic Preservation Commission will have some input on this?
Absolutely. Yeah. And Andrea, I don't know if you want to talk to that, but yes. Andrea, you're muted.
Yeah, the commissions, of course, are a big part of this because a lot of the information that we're going to have as background comes from the commissions themselves. They've done studies and done research in different areas it's going to be very meaningful when we get into the education component of Imagine Urbana. So the commissions are a big part of this. That's correct. And Lily did a great job in just kind of briefing you on where we're at today. This is phase one of the community engagement phase, and COVID has somewhat delayed things a little bit. I don't want to blame things on COVID, but just that we've had to pivot and find different ways to reach out to people. But the commissions will definitely we'd love to be able to do things in person here soon. We're hoping to do that, but if not, we'll continue to do things via Zoom and webinars.
And Andrea, just got a question. You're a city employee, right?
Correct.
What
Correct.
are you in community development, and what's your title?
I'm in the executive department.
Okay, all right.
And so I report to Carol Mitten as the city administrator. And my role is really working with Lily on the comprehensive plan. We've been dedicated as full-time people to the comprehensive plan. Lily, of course, you know very well,
Okay.
coming from the community development area, and she's a planner too. My background has been in the private sector. In fact, I've worked with Kim Smith quite a bit on different projects and know her very well. But I just joined the city right before the pandemic about a year ago, and have been working on economic development issues as well, just because of timing this past year with outreach to businesses during the pandemic. So a little bit of economic development on the side, but my main role is working on the comprehensive plan.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Lily, for all your hard work.
There's also Marcus and Jason Liggett as well. All those really cool videos. That's all Jason's magic.
I know
Lily?
how Jason works. Yeah.
Yeah,
Lily, can I share the flyer that
Yeah,
Deb and John made?
absolutely.
Okay, let me share the
I think that was
screen.
part of your packet as well, right?
I
yeah.
believe it was.
Okay.
Can you all see the flyer here?
Yep.
Mhm.
And so very cool. And Lily, where are you using the flyer?
The flyer is going to be used on later down the road for social media. Our high school, Urbana High School intern, Devangana Rana, made this, which is kind of neat. And she seems to really like colorful graphics that fit on social media posts very well. So
It's nice.
so is this it's not more widely available until later?
the flyer,
Yeah.
oh no, it can go wherever you'd like to take it.
Oh, all right.
We're just planning on using it for that. That does not limit or at all where
Great,
you'd like
so-
to take it.
I missed it. It came out in our packet then, so there's a link in the packet to, okay.
And this is something that I think would be suitable for printing and putting off in willing merchants downtown, but also handing out at relevant festivals or events,
Mhm.
because or making a larger one, and then people can simply snap a picture of the QR code on it, and it will take them directly to the app, to the specific tour, so that they don't have to fumble around searching for things. Okay, I just
Terrific.
wanted to
All right. Thank you,
share
everybody.
that cool thing that she made.
Oh, Cat's up. Where is, oh, there's Cat. Oh,
Cat's up.
yeah, I did mean it. Yeah, I know. After I said it, I was like, do you have something to share, Cat, or no? Okay. All right, very good. So, Marcus, I think we've got historic property activities now.
Yes. So let's bring that up. Let's see. Updates on properties that we talked about last month. No change as far as I know at 2 Buena Vista Court, 806 West Main Street. It sounds like Joan Price's window may have been replaced. I'll check into the building permit, and if that's done, then we can mark this complete and move on. 1404 South Lincoln Avenue, Chateau Normand. The university group, which is the
Oh.
property management company, did submit an application for a certificate of appropriateness on April 29th. It's going to need revised and resubmitted because there wasn't much description and detail in it. They didn't provide a full design of the sign or where it was going to be placed on the site. And they didn't really describe how it was going to meet the criteria of, I think it's Exhibit A in the application. So hopefully we will get that in time for next month's meeting. And I did share with him that the commission's preference was for a freestanding sign rather than a sign on the building. Moving on to the Sutton and Freeman houses, I spoke with Jonah Weiskopf, and he said that he planned to apply for certificates to replace both of the stair railings on the two houses, which would be minor works, and also to install a porch railing on the Sutton house, 502 West Elm Street. He said he has sketches that he will submit. I haven't seen them yet, so I need to pester him to submit those. And it would be nice to have those available for the submitted for the June meeting as well. That as a major work, those will need legal notices, which the city clerk has stated that they will still pay for those so that applicants don't have to pay for the legal notices for their certificates, which is nice.
Did it used to be, or have we done it for a long time, that the applicant had to pay for the notice?
No, just by habit, it's never been charged, but it's written into the ordinance
That what?
that there should be a cost or a fee that gets paid.
By the
Property owner.
applicant.
Mhm.
Okay.
See, there's no change on 2 Buena Vista Court's exterior repairs. I have not checked back in with Janet Moore on her exterior repair at 4 Buena Vista Court. 8 Buena Vista Court, the exterior stucco repair. I think he is still working on that. 801 West Oregon Street. I still need to contact Mr. Enck about removing the signposts out front. This would be an opportune time for me then to ask him about the shipping container and to check in also on the roof. And, if they replace the roof, he'll have to apply for an application retroactively just to.
Of all the people that should, yeah.
Yes, especially since he did this same thing 6 months ago with the Royer house.
Yeah.
Did Chris Enck owns both of those Royer
Yes.
properties?
Yes.
They're separate titles, but he bought both of them.
Right. Well, but
So-
it's a historic district together. The two buildings are a district.
Yeah, but I mean, somebody else could own the other house.
Yeah, and
mean,
it did, yeah,
he
That-
bought both of them.
yeah.
Let's see. Start tracking, making myself a note here. I have not had an opportunity to follow up with the owners of the Ricker House. As we discussed earlier, they replaced the asphalt shingles on the roof with like, without getting a certificate. They need to retroactively apply for and be granted an administrative minor work certificate of appropriateness. That work was done last summer. And this you know, my fun project this summer is getting that educational program up and running to, you know, bring owners up to speed on what their responsibilities and benefits are for owning a historic landmark or being in a historic district. Not on your copy of the staff report, because I didn't think about it until after I had sent it out, was additional items. So staff, mostly myself, have been working with a group of residents of the Dr. Ellis subdivision on exploring creating a new historic district there.
Where is Dr. Ellis?
Dr. Ellis is bounded by, let's see, Bradley, Goodwin, Ellis, and Carver.
Okay.
And I will share a screen
Bradley, Goodwin,
because
Ellis and
I've got a
Carver.
picture.
So is that north of Bradley or south of Bradley?
South of Bradley.
South of Bradley. Okay.
So
there.
can you see this map okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so it is both sides of Ellis, the west side of Goodwin, the south side of Bradley, and both sides of Carver and Romine. It's 146 properties. All of them homes. There is one new funeral parlor there, which may or may not be included in the district. I think I will rely on Alice's memory. I know they asked about it, but since the building's only 3 years old, it really does not have historic significance to the area. They have canvassed the proposed district and collected at least 60% of the property owners' signatures in support of the proposed district, which is well in excess of the 25% that the Historic Preservation Ordinance requires. They explained to the individuals what they understood the requirements were for being in a district, what the responsibilities were for an owner, the regulations. I am not, I would like to make sure that each of the owners and residents has sufficient information about how they're going to be regulated, because we don't want 25 cases of people replacing their roofs and not coming for certificates of appropriateness every year, or swapping out windows without getting checked. So I'm going to provide copies of the Understanding Local Historic Districts and Designations brochures for the group to distribute out to the residents so that everybody knows. And we'll probably, I anticipate that we would have neighborhood meetings to talk about this, either via Zoom or later in the summer, if we can do properly socially distanced in-person things. I'd be glad to go out and talk with people about what it really means to be in a district. One question I had for the group, and most of you have more time here in the city or on the commission than I've been working here. As we were doing the paperwork, in the application, there is a sheet that collects all of the signatures on a set of 3 sheets. It looks like a spreadsheet, and it's, you know, address, owner name, legal description, signature. And then and the 3 districts that we have currently, all 3 cases had this summary sheet with all of the signatures on that single sheet. It looks like in 2007, when the West Main Street Historic District case was done, there were these historic district preference voting forms that was a single page that was provided to each resident in the district, and they filled out their information and signed it. I couldn't find anything in the ordinance or the district application or on the preference form itself that said this form needs to be filled out for every person in the district. So I'm kind of at a loss. I'm not sure if this form is required, if it was just done for additional information,
I
or
think,
because it,
go ahead.
or if it was simply to make it easier for a large district to be canvassed by multiple people so that you could collect all of them like petitions and then put them together and not have to have one person carry a single sheet around to every single property owner.
I'm thinking that that's something from the first incarnation of our ordinance. So we changed our ordinance at some point. Initially, the ordinance provided for what we call preliminary consideration.
And those were the separate sheets that people could turn in?
I don't remember the sheets really, but I just think,
I just wonder, that one, that big Main Street
Yes.
district proposal was so contentious and there was so much opposition to it. It was probably trying to get essentially a vote from each property owner and how they stood, because that's how it ended up getting nixed, was because, wasn't it? Because the, whatever the required percentage wasn't reached. And then we had that snafu, oh, what a mess that all was. Snafu about the city made some mistake about how they were counted and they had to go back and redo that. Somebody, do you remember all that,
there
Alex?
was a mistake as to whether the Park District lots, there were 3 lots that belonged to the Park
Is
District.
that what it was? Yeah.
Between the downtown and the core of this huge.
And it
district.
changed the percentage.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we want to make sure we
Well,
don't fall into the same mistakes again. Get our ducks in a row. But
here
wow.
is the
Yeah.
historic district preference form showing
Okay.
on your screen.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's designed to give to one person. They fill
Yeah.
it out. They give information on it and they say, I support the inclusion of my property or protest it or have no opinion. The application for the historic district, you know, has the contact information, why you're proposing it to be a district. And then it has this set of 3 sheets with, you know, parcel number, street address, legal description. And then the last page is an owner's signature indicates consent to the proposed district described on the attached boundary map. And they sign here.
Yeah.
Everything that's on here is on that other sheet, except for the other sheet gives them a specific option to protest.
Yeah.
So the only way somebody would know if you protested not using those preference sheets is if
If you don't sign.
they wrote in here under owner signature, I protest. So I just want to make sure that the Dr. Ellis subdivision folks do what it is that they're supposed to do. They're not super keen on having to walk all around the district again, having to get individual preference forms filled out.
So
But if
they've had them sign this application thing
right, yes.
now. Okay.
And if this form is not required anymore, then I'm going to have it taken off the website because I don't want there to be confusion. The odd thing is that the only case of the 3 districts that we have that had used these forms was the most recent case, which made me think that it was a new thing that we just started rather than an old thing that we got rid of.
Marcus, what's interesting is that both of those forms, if you look at them on the website, look at their names,
Yes.
they were both revised July of 2017.
Right. Well, Terry Andel, our administrative assistant office manager, she goes through and revises the forms on a periodic basis. She might not have known And
Right.
certainly I don't blame her if the planner themselves don't know that we're no longer using a form. She would have just left it up and made sure there were no typos or changes that needed made and changed the revised date.
I'm
There,
wondering, oh,
I was
I'm
just gonna,
wondering,
Alice, you go.
Marcus, I'm wondering, does the city keep records like that notorious huge historic district that we had the big public hearing on? Would there be a file on that so that we could see if this form is in that file? And then that would be able to help us trace that this is an old, not used anymore form.
So it sounds like what you're saying, and this is kind of ringing a bell, that there was another Main Street district that got turned down.
Yes. It
Okay.
went all the way to
It went
downtown.
from Lincoln Avenue all the way almost into the downtown.
Yeah,
Okay. Along what street? Would it have been
Main.
Owuna?
it's Main Street.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
I think I can find that and I'll look. Okay, I will check and I see if I can get any information from that. Check the defeated. And how, like, how did it go away? Was it withdrawn?
It
At that
was-
time, we had what I thought was a really awkward ordinance, and it provided two-step process to get a historic district even considered. And so there was this preliminary consideration, and that was that huge monstrous public hearing that we had.
That you were not at,
Okay,
I think.
Marcus
will-
wasn't, I was.
No, I mean, wasn't that the one that Bill Rose chaired?
I was at the meeting, but I couldn't
Oh.
participate because my students wrote the nomination.
Okay, I remember now. Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
actually Sharon Irish was running the meeting.
She wasn't even on it. Was she? I think it was Bill Rose. Anyway, it was a long time ago.
I'll arm wrestle you over it,
it-
but.
okay, I will check
Sharon
that.
Irish, okay.
And Kevin is out of the office right now, so I just came up with this question when we met with the Dr. Ellis group last week, and I forgot to ask Kevin, hey, what's up with these sheets?
Another
Alice?
thing you could do is, we could check with Rob Kowalski, because he would have been planning manager during that
Right,
preliminary consideration thing we had.
okay.
How long has this group been working on this?
Um,
Do you
we
know?
got an inquiry from them probably March of last year. And then,
Wow.
things kind of settled down. Everybody had other more important things to do during COVID. And then
Yeah,
it, sprung back up in January of this year.
well,
So-
it's exciting. I don't
Yes.
have a
And-
clue I suppose I've been on some of those streets, but I can't really picture what's even there. Yeah.
It's really, single family homes. I think.
What
primarily,
vintage are they?
60s, I believe, 60s.
Don't they
and
have a
70s.
name like Peace Homes or something?
Pease. A lot of them are Pease homes, and I think there were some that were finished by maybe Scott Weller or Welty, but they are hoping to focus on Dr. Ellis and going with historical significance with a person rather than doing architectural significance, because they don't want to exclude. They want to be as inclusive as possible of properties. So if it was based on the architectural significance, then that might exclude a lot of the non-Pease homes.
I think those were Weller homes, by the way,
Weller.
Marcus.
Okay, is it Scott?
Yeah,
And was he a developer?
Developer, I
Yeah.
think.
Okay,
yeah, he built like whole neighborhoods.
okay,
There's a bunch of Weller homes in southeast Urbana, between Philo and Anderson. They're
okay,
kind of just boxy places.
okay.
Mm.
And I learned from the group that Dr. Ellis had nothing to do with establishing the subdivision, which had
No.
been my assumption, which was, I guess, super wrong. they named it after him for his other historical significance, which I hope to learn more about. And so that's really the other big historic preservation thing, other than Historic Preservation Month and working on the podcast. It's actually been, and most recently starting to kick in with the Landmark Hotel stuff. Also working on a letter to the State Historic Preservation Office on behalf of the Urbana-Champaign Independent Media
Center.
IMC, Independent Media Center. They want to put in a accessibility ramp on the north side of the building to replace the stairs. Because the building is not a local landmark, it doesn't have to come to HPC, but there are covenants in the deed of transfer that require any exterior renovations to be reviewed and approved by SHPO, which is great and fabulous, except those applications have to be submitted by the permitting agency, which means the city has to write that letter and collect the information to submit it. So another project of your tax dollars at work.
Marcus, did you say on the north side?
On the north
That's
side,
the
yes.
Elm Street side, which, does
Correct.
it have like a basement access now?
Yes, stairs down to the basement.
And the ramp is going to go down to the basement? Or
Yes, it's
up?
going to be
Okay.
a switchback ramp, and there will still be stairs.
Okay,
Mhm.
It will greatly, it will expand the footprint of the existing stairs, and basically take it, I think, from building to sidewalk. So it's going to encompass pretty much that whole chunk of right of way. I don't
Yeah.
foresee any problems with that. Those types of encroachments are allowed in the right of way, but we are having discussions with Public Works, making
And
sure that all the
so there's-
ADA stuff gets approved.
there's that elevator thing that the post office added on the south side of the building.
Right.
Okay.
But then maybe they don't have an elevator on the inside, so nobody can get to the basement. Maybe that's the deal. I don't know. But I mean, if that elevator still works, they could use that to get to the main floor. But then I guess if the reason for doing this would be to get to the basement, maybe that's the only way to do it. I don't know.
I think this might be I'm not sure. That's a good question. Let me make myself a note. IMC elevator working. I believe this is being funded through tax increment financing city funds. So that is a good use, I think, of TIF district funds for making a building handicap accessible. Sorry, more accessible.
Excuse me a second here.
And I think that is really all I've got for the staff report.
Thanks for all the work you've put in, Marcus.
Absolutely. It's a lot of fun. It's probably one of the more interesting bits of my month.
Yes, thank you, Marcus. It's been incredible to have you as our ex officio commission member.
And eventually I'll also have a CLG report to turn into them to keep us legit. And we are working on interns and providing more staff time and having an intern available to do some of these things like the outreach and education project, applying for a CLG grant next year to do more video podcasts, to get all of the plaques mounted and maybe doing some video shoots of that mounting there's a lot of potential.
I still have a student project that I haven't turned over from a couple of years ago too, so maybe we can work on that at some point. If it's okay if I mention a couple of PACA things,
Yes,
Preservation Month. PACA is reviving Architreasures, which is kind of an architectural parts scavenger hunt for Preservation Month. And oh, and then also, if you haven't stopped by to see the warehouse, they've done an amazing overhaul on the warehouse, and it's fabulous. So if you're out and about, check out the PACA warehouse on Washington and Champaign. All right, Marcus, that's a lot of stuff. Are you finished?
yes, I am.
Okay. We're down to the bottom of the agenda now, so I assume there's no study session.
Correct.
And
I think next month's, fitting in the Urbana Landmark Hotel, if they do come, that might be under the study session portion, or it might be up as like a new businessy thing.
yeah,
We can discuss that.
great. Anybody have any other announcements? If not, does anybody want to move to adjourn?
Go ahead, Kim.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we're adjourned.
We are
All right.
adjourned at 8:12.
Good night,
See you next
everyone.
month.
Thanks,
See you-
everybody.